Did you know that designers can help divert up to 95% of construction waste go into landfill through responsible waste management? Hello, this is Space for Edit. If you're new here, then on this channel we talk about all the things that they don't talk about in design school or teach you in design school, but you need to know in the real world. And today I wanted to touch on a very top trendy topic in the design industry, in construction industry, which is sustainability. In today's video, we will look at how you can introduce sustainable decisions or sustainability in each stage of the design process. In my experience, projects are most successful when the initiative comes from the client. That will usually happen in the briefing stage, right at the first meeting. But even if the client is not maybe too aware of all of the sustainability movement, or it might not be a priority for them at the moment, there are still things that we can do to introduce that into the project. A good starting point could be just determining what level of sustainability certification you would like to achieve. Whether it's BREEAM or LEED, each of them can be a really good starting point, and you don't kind of have to go with them, but you can use them as a framework. I've left a link down below in the description box if you want to look into this in more detail as well. One of BREEAM's goals is to achieve net zero globally by 2050 and avoid 1.5 degrees global warming. So you definitely know that you are doing the right thing, or at least something right, if you are going from the BREEAM standards. Around this stage, right in the beginning, when you are just discussing the direction of the project, you can also discuss other objections like indoor air quality, material selection, and energy efficiency. Whatever the overall sustainability goals are, this will give you a great starting point and kind of help you with every single design decision that you will be making along the way. If you've been around for a while, then you know that research for interior designers is like second nature. The world currently is changing really fast, and since we are helping to create the future world or design the future world where people will be living in, it is quite important for us to stay on top of all of this innovation and all of that forward thinking. So this is where research comes into play. The quickest and easiest way to stay up to date or get the latest is just by contacting your reps. I feel like our reps and contractors have actually done a good job to stay up to date with everything, and even updated their product line and their processes to make sure that they are a sustainable business themselves. And you can also just go on the company's website. So for example, if it's a flooring supplier, go on their website and have a little look around. Usually there will be a section about sustainability, their goals, their objectives, and any other data that might be useful for you when you are making decisions later. Don't leave this to the last minute, because it is an ongoing process and there is a lot of information to take on. So when you need to be focusing on design, you already have that knowledge. Another great way how to stay up to date and kind of make research a part of your day is signing up to newsletters to different blogs or different suppliers, and every now and then they will send you some news about the latest, most sustainable material, or how they are changing their products so that they are more sustainable and environmentally friendly. This way I discover loads of new things on a weekly basis, so I know that that research is ongoing. I almost don't need to stop what I'm doing. It's kind of like a background noise, but it's a good background noise, if you know what I mean. Speaking of newsletters, your girl over here has one as well. We have started this year with a new newsletter, and every week I talk about the subject that I'm talking about in the YouTube video. So for example, this week it will be all about sustainability, how you can introduce it into your projects. So if you need more bite-sized content, or maybe you want to catch up with what's been going on Instagram, have a little chat with me, then make sure you sign up. What does space planning have to do with sustainability? Well, sustainable space planning is all about trying to achieve that balance, functionality, resource efficiency, and environmental responsibility. All are very big factors in the sustainability mission. The more flexible and multifunctional the space is, the more adaptable it can be to the end user's ever-changing needs. This strategy can actually reduce even more need for future refurbishment and kind of constructional work. When you are creating space plans with sustainability in mind, then you are also prioritizing daylight, which means that there will be less energy use and less use of HVAC systems. This also supports well-being, which is a big part of sustainability, and even just access to daylight and a view outside of a window has a big effect of the occupant's well-being. A big element to think about when supporting sustainability in this stage is accessibility and inclusivity. So how will people from various age groups will be using this space? Do you need extra lifts or platforms for wheelchair and pram users? Maybe wider walkways so more people can get past each other? If we are looking at restaurant or cafe counters, do we need a lowered section so again someone with a wheelchair can access it and feel like they are welcomed in space? Maybe extra little rest stops along the corridor or extra handles for elderly people to hang on to. All of these little things add up and you can make these decisions during this planning stage. We've roughly just touched on it, but agility is something that we need to think about as well when looking at a sustainable proposal for a floor plan. The more versatile one space can be, the less additional space is needed. So if you can have an office lounge that can be cleared out to create a space for a yoga class or an event after work, or even as a conference room over the weekend. Agile design solutions also can turn spaces that might not be used throughout the day to be more popular and multifunctional. Let's take this food hall design that I worked on a few years ago. The problem that the client had was that the space was getting busy only during the peak time, so it would be breakfast service or lunch service. And then for the rest of the time, during the day and even weekends, the space was pretty much deserted. And we are talking about a 400-seat restaurant. So this was a huge space that technically the client was paying rent for and maintenance, but was not used or was not bringing back any revenue for them. This is a very common issue within the corporate space and in the universities as well. So what we ended up doing to liven up this space was introduce a soft seating area. All of the items were on casters, all the tables were collapsible, the booths were on casters so we could roll them in and out. So this meant that when there was an event or some kind of a conference during the summer or over the weekend, then this space can still be cleared out for this bigger conference or for this bigger event. All of the chairs were stackable as well, which added an extra layer of flexibility. Probably the most tangible way how you can introduce sustainability in your project is through sourcing. So all of your finishes, your furniture, accessories, lighting and equipment. It's a physical product where the sustainability factors can actually be traced down on every single step. There's so much that we can talk about in this phase alone, but I'm just going to try to touch on like the main and maybe most impactful ways how you can introduce sustainability in this FF&E specification phase. So starting with the obvious, which is reusing existing. I often start my design process, and even during the briefing session, I ask the question of what can we use, what can be retained and maybe give it a new life instead of just ripping it all out and sending it out to the landfill. This is a great start for any sustainability driven project and any project in general. This might not be the most desirable way how to go about a project, especially if we talk about high-end and luxury clients. But even if that client doesn't want to keep the existing, you can still look at ways how to either donate the old items or get rid of them in a sustainable and environmentally friendly way. There are lots of charities, lots of resale options, vintage companies that buy high-end products. So do look into this, and it could be a way how you are reusing the existing. When you are introducing new items and new finishes in your projects, there are millions of questions and factors that you can ask and take into consideration to make the project a lot more sustainable. Whatever it is, the best first question to ask is, how was this made? It's a great starting point, and it will give you loads of information about each certain item or material sustainability. Let's say, for example, it's a armchair. We can ask hundreds of questions, from the origin of the wood or the metal that's been used within the framework to the foam and the glue that's been used in the manufacturing process. Once you look at it at this level, this kind of a micro level, you will understand that there are so many ways how to make a lot more sustainable decisions. And thankfully, once again, I'm falling back on our suppliers. They have done a great job updating all of their processes, or most of their processes, to ensure that the package is already there and all we need to do is just specify the item and it comes with its own sustainability magic dust. Second big question is, what do I do with this when I'm finished? We'll touch on this later, but basically, is there a recycling scheme that the supplier is currently holding? Would they take the furniture back and make sure that it is dismantled and recycled the proper way? Or even, how toxic is the product if it does end up in the landfill? Even these levels are different to each product. Quite a lot of materials can actually be broken down and reused again, so it is more likely that you can go to a product that has been made from already recycled materials.
Intention was really to look into if we can use waste as a resource, but often the problem with waste is that you don't know where it comes from. So could we have a traceable waste and make that into, a meaningful product?
So we have a new product, for instance, which is our felt dividers, and that's from 100% traceable offcuts in a collaboration together with Ludwig Svensson and the Loop Factory. So taking advantage of a material that already exists that otherwise would be disposed of, I think that's a great way of being able to make a change in the industry.
I'd encourage you to read the British Institute of Interior Design article that I've linked down in the description box. They have gone into great detail into this, and I think every interior designer really needs to have a good look through this so that we are all up to date and making the best sustainable decisions that we can. Let's quickly touch on energy and indoor air quality. Energy efficiency is a huge part of sustainability. I feel like I say that about every single element, but I do feel that everything that we do, every even smallest decision, has a big impact on the overall sustainability movement. So we actually have a say of what HVAC system can be specified or what lighting can be specified, how sustainable those products are. I talk about this a lot more and in a lot more detail in a video where I reflected on smart workplace design, so make sure to check that out after this video if you're interested. We roughly touched on this already, but there is another way how at the end of all of this or during the specification stage, you can think about waste reduction. This is something that you can discuss with your contractors as they are quoting for your projects. It is as important to understand how they're going to get rid of the waste during the construction process as important it is to understand their costs. If you've ever been to a construction site, then you will know the piles and piles of waste that are a byproduct of a live project. 32% of landfill waste comes from construction projects. 32%. That is 1/3. Where will it all go? Will it be recycled responsibly? And how much waste does even each project create? How can we lower that amount? Don't be afraid to ask your contractors and your suppliers these hard questions, because they have to think about it as well. And if they haven't got an answer for it, you might need to go to a different supplier or contractor who has an answer for it. Sustainability is a huge topic, and this video is only scratching the surface, but hopefully I have given you a bit of a food for thought and given you some power in your hands, because next time you're sitting down to plan out a project or go through a project with your client, you will be better equipped with this knowledge about sustainability and sustainable decisions during your design stages. No one has a magic wand, and we can't all have 100% sustainable projects, but we can kind of gear towards it and aim for that more sustainable future and make better decisions that, let's face it, the construction industry and designers and architects have been doing for decades. Let me know your thoughts on this. Have you found that tackling sustainability in your projects is quite challenging, or is it freeing and you actually maybe got some extra tips to share with us? So let me know down in the comments. Would be interesting to chat about it. Okay guys, that is it from me today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'll leave some videos here, check them out if you want to binge watch a bit more. But if I don't see you there, then I'll see you in the next video. Bye!